I want to open up and show you some Pirates of Dark Water action figures that actually got released of the 1991 cartoon when it originally aired. I only know it from reruns on Cartoon Network maybe a couple years later. It was an awesome cartoon that I always enjoyed. I used to cut my old ninja swords up to look like the hero's sword, like half broken. And I always had little jewels to be the treasures of rule that they were searching for in the show. And one time I did find the action figures in a discount store, but they didn't have Ren, the hero character, so I just never got any of them since I didn't want just the villains figures only. We'll just open them all up new to add to my collection. We'll start with just the hero figures of the set. They have their own colored carding, orange and blue, with the hero's ship, the Wraith, pictured on it. Hasbro made. And they do have little bios on the back. This is Ren. You can pause and read through his little bio. It's just their info from the show. Really awesome packaging with a huge picture of the character from the cartoon. I feel like they put these on bigger card backs to make it seem like you were getting a cooler toy, even though it's actually pretty small on this card. And all these are kind of bent up and kind of weird, so not gonna feel too bad cracking them open fresh. Definitely always wanted these, but could never get Ren. So, got the figure here. He is just a 5-point, I believe, with the arms moving around, the legs just kind of turning. Can't go up too much farther. It can go back quite a bit. But he has a full turn head. Stylish ponytail in the back. Of course, this was like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, which is why the Cartoon Network was able to get it for all of its reruns and such. Which again, if you haven't seen the cartoon, it was pretty awesome. Really good animation. The hands are just kind of holes that are going to hold those accessories. So he comes with this kind of little dagger here, a little stylish in its own way, because both hands can hold, so a lot of them do come with 2 weapons. And he does have his sword, but he doesn't have it with that short kind of cut off look that you can even see on the box. So I can guarantee you, if when I was a little kid, if I would have had this, I would have got a big pair of scissors and cut this to make it look like his sword from the cartoon. I wouldn't have wanted a full-size sword. But that just fits right down in there, and he can even hold his other weapon too. He can have double, or maybe kind of defensive like with the knife. In that way, they're just painted solid gold, so they don't have a lot of details on them or anything. But weirdly enough, they don't come with any of the treasures or things like that. Like that would have been a little collect them all kind of thing. If you get every figure, you'd have some of the treasures that appeared in the first groups of episodes. But they did not do that. So no compass for around the neck for Ren, or any of his other treasures of rule. And also not really the right sword, but I don't know if this was going to be like, in the end he'd get the full sword repaired or something on the show, because it was like broken. But I feel like with his costume he got quite a bit of his detail from the show. And he does have painted eyes and stuff, so he's pretty solid there. They didn't go with white or anything to fully flesh him out. But he looks pretty good with the proper skin tone. Maybe he could have been a little darker, but has like the hair and all his color of his costume pretty nicely done. But they are just 5-point figures. But that was kind of fairly standard of this time period anyway. 1990, what the box is marked, so I feel like they were planning the toys before the show was even really done and ready to air. Probably the most accurate and best figure of the whole set here is Niddler. It looks almost exactly like his cartoon counterpart. We'll take a close look at him here. I always love when these still have a price tag on them so you can kind of see. $4.79 at Kmart. Decent price, but I remember finding them at a discount store for like $2 before. But they were missing characters. So another price tag, and then Niddler's bio on the back. You can read through that. We got very big actually in this. And you can see he's kind of like at his knees here to fit in the packaging. So to stand him up, we'll have to turn his legs. Get a Niddler opened. Is that the theme song? Monkey Bird. Comes with a club. I'm not recalling him using a weapon in the show. He's usually just trying to find some food. It's his main goal there. But if you want to have him fight, so again, these legs here. Actually, I'm not sure if he's going to stand up very well. He's kind of body with the 5 points, just a turning kind of head. But we have wings, so that's actually 2 more things to articulate. Plus the tail, so he's kind of a 8-point kind of figure. Full turns on the wings, so pretty cool. Yeah, he'll probably kind of have to sit, because he can't stand, because he's kind of got his claws out, like maybe he can grab the other characters, because he would often fly them away. He was strong enough to carry one human They need a little transport. But dang, it looks really good, just like the cartoon show. He's got full colored feathers on his wings of all his different colors. A little bit weird hand here. So I guess they just wanted to kind of give him a weapon just so he could do something in a fight. For play reasons anyway. He can kind of hold this. I almost feel like maybe he was going to come with a second weapon, but like maybe like a chicken leg or some food to hold in this hand. Like he's... because it's kind of sideways the way that one's going to hold. But interesting. And again, they didn't paint the weapons. They're just solid color, but fairly standard of this time period anyway. I think I'm just more impressed that the character has so many colors on it with his beak and eyes and everything, and all those colors on the feathers. So Niddler's probably about the coolest, most accurate one to the show by far. And he's kind of deluxe with all his extra bits. I think he's maybe a little too big in scale though. I think he was maybe a little smaller in the show, but still awesome to have old Niddler. We got Ayaz here. Can't quite tell what his accessory is, so I'm going to be interested to open this up and check this out. With an awesome picture of him on the cover here on his card back, but that kind of shows how kind of inaccurate the figure is as far as some of the colors and look here. But we'll check him out here. He's got his bio on the back of the card to check out too. Was with the bad guy pirate dude and kind of quit, left on his own. Then he joined Ren in his quest to find the treasures of Rule. Oh. Wow, I see. So it's like a quiver and his bow and arrow thing, which I believe he did kind of have some kind of dragony bow shooter weapon in the cartoon. But he's got like a quiver here, like a belt he can put on him. So for his likeness, not quite like the show one with some of the colors here, just kind of simplified or just wrong colors. Doesn't have extra color here and there where he probably needs it. Stop. And then the skin tone is like a zombie gray. I'm not sure why he didn't get his normal kind of skin tone from the show, but I guess they're just going for some different color palettes here to make them look unique. He's just going to be a 5-point guy too. Got some of his little details and jewelry and things, but he's probably missing a lot of his real cartoon imagery details. Unfortunately. The sword seems fairly accurate to what he would use in the show. That's a good accessory there too, with that bow and arrow combo. I'm not sure how you're intended to put it, just because how it was bent so strangely in the packaging. Seems like it's too long to just be going around the waist. Just too much slack on that. You must need to do it across his body. So I'm not sure if that adds any detail that he needed for the show. It's kind of strange, but still you have the bow and arrow quiver, and then this has like a little handle nub that can go down into the hand. It's not real solid in there though. It's like two like bolts or like arrows in there. You got the little string piece that's pretty flimsy. Not sure how he's really supposed to be holding it. Maybe in this hand like this. Doesn't really grip it too well, but it almost stays. I don't know, it was kind of a cool looking weapon, but there's not a good way for him to hold it particularly. You can hold it this way, but it's the wrong way. The string is away from him, so not a solid way for that one. But the sword, but even that is loose in his hand too, so his hand is kind of too big for any of the accessories. A little bit disappointing, because he was already a poorly colored one from the cartoon. Now he can't really hold his accessories either, so kind of a weak one there, but he was a major character on the crew of the heroes on the show. And he does kind of have like a scar detail and things like that. There's just bits that are just not included that really should have been. But still happy to have him with the crew. And the last member of the crew, Zoolie. What? Wait a minute. This is a huge disappointment for me. They didn't do the Tula figure, their female crew member. This is kind of still back when they were deathly afraid of making the girl character with action figures because it wouldn't sell. Well, spoiler alert, Zoolie was quite plentiful at the discount store, unsold. Nobody wanted Zoolie. He was only in like 3 episodes of the whole show. He did not sail about with them looking for the treasures. He was just some fat jerk guy. But I guess they thought he looked more piratey. But dang, a Tula figure would have been 1,000 times better than this. You can read his stupid bio. You can tell this one's in a little better shape because nobody was interested in opening this up. But I am, because I'm stupid. Woo! Far cry from being Tula by any means. He's also kind of missing some green and some colors from the cartoon, but he does have these gloves. This ribbon is just kind of a random addition. Again, they were just like, oh, I want more piratey looking characters with the crazy hair and stuff. Again, they are super detailed, really, though. I mean, the other characters, I was kind of thinking more of the show. Here I'm just thinking, like, look at all the extra effort they did put into, like, the hair and all his clothes to make him kind of look more like a crazily dressed pirate. So that is cool. He has a little axe weapon here, which I think in the show he might have had crossbows or something, so not even really accurate weapons, but cool looking for just the toy aspect. And he has a crappy little sword, almost like a tiny katana. Not real piratey. He probably should have had one of his crossbows or something to be more intimidating. Again, you really should have did the Tula action figure, not Zoolie. What is this? Tubby, red-headed goofball. But to finish the whole hero collection, I grabbed him as well as the others. And we'll be looking at the villain pirates next. Now I wanted to be able to get all the characters, and we're going to open up the villains of the set that have their own packaging in kind of green tinted with the evil dude's ship, the Maelstrom. Big bony ship, it's gigantic on the show. Bloth, the captain, the one also looking for the treasures of rule that the heroes are looking for, but he wants to use them to control the dark water so he can rule the entire planet. And he is pretty much an irredeemable, heartless monster. Here's his figure. His package has been through some crap. Stickers and stuff all over it, beat up, so we'll just open it up, check it out. We can see his bio on the back. If you want to read through that, give it a pause. Should have got a special deluxe figure of the Constrictus monster that appears many times in the cartoon. You'll often see this one loose for sale, and he looks very goofy, and we'll see why that is when we get him open. Yarr, he be a pirate. He just has his one sword. He does have one big sword on the show, so this is probably a little like it at least. That is pretty cool. He has a big figure, but you can see if you look at him, he kind of looks like he's got like a dress or something, and he's got like a shoulder exposed kind of women's top or something. The pink color doesn't help either, but that'll get fixed. Don't worry about that. I just want to check out all his other details, because overall just this toy line has some extra detailed, awesome looking dudes. They just wanted some really awesome looking pirates for the toy line, and the show definitely provided, because he is a nasty dude. He's got all this like skin texture all over, and he actually does have cool colors. I know right now it looks like he's just all pink very strangely. I don't want to know what this piece is, but even the shoes, he's got fancy sandals here, nasty toenails. Just to show, pretty awesome. Thing is, he comes with like a cloth kind of cape, but it's also like a vest kind of piece. Got like a faux green leather bit and a black felt. So I'm sure a lot of these got lost or torn from playing around. And since it was folded in the packaging for so long, it's kind of messed up with the seam. Man, does it attract hair and dust like instantly though. But that's what's going to finish his look here. And actually the green is going to go on the outside. I think we got to put the arms back. Kind of put them back into it. So that green color is going to make this pink look a lot cooler and pop out. It kind of has the popped collar of it going on a little bit. Probably should be a little bigger, judging by the cartoon pictures. But this makes him look 1,000 times better. If you can get the vest part of it kind of looking correctly, it's going to kind of get rid of that weird look he had. And add this color. It's going to look even cooler, but it is kind of messed up from being folded. Hopefully that'll kind of work its way out once it's in my collection for a while. It just has kind of a circle hand thing there that the sword just pops down into, so fairly accurate with everything all considered here. We got soft goods on the action figure. He's big, he's got his sword, he's kind of got everything he needs. And as far as the molding, he looks just like the show as well. He's a pretty awesome one. It's just that a lot of them probably lose this cloth cape part, and he looks very strange without it. I will have the treasures. Oh, I can't do that voice, but it's the same dude that voiced some of the villains on SWAT Cats also. Bloth. And to hammer the point home here on how great these look, we have Konk, who appears tons in the show. He's like the little runty henchman of Bloth. Kind of has his own goals in mind also. And we got his bio on the back, so kind of useful. All of them had their bio on the back if you hadn't seen the show. Fun little dude, and again, a big picture of him on there. He's pretty accurate looking for the figure, so we'll get it opened up and check out how much so that is. Get him pulled off the card. Konk, again, this one looks really awesome. His face has so much going on. They've colored the teeth, eyes, eyebrow. He's got his little bit of sideburn here, his little shmee pirate do-rag kind of thing. Torn shirt, his big tight gut with little hair strapped down. It's just a lot going on here. The peg leg, then he's missing a toe here. Just a little dude, but so much detail going on him. He's just an awesome little character. Looks exactly like his cartoon version. He has this nasty looking kind of blade, and he has this kind of trident slash sai weapon that looks kind of useful for tearing swords out of people's hands. So he has some cool weapons too. Again, he's a henchman that appears in a lot of the episodes with Bloth on the Maelstrom ship. So he is an awesome one, an awesome villain from the show. And he just looks freaking amazing. Even just his color choices and things with the purple, green, and everything, the skin. He just is an awesome one. Once I got a hold of these and was just looking at them in the packaging, I was just amazed by this one alone of how detailed they were. Just 5 points of articulation, but just so detailed and cool looking, he's going to be an awesome display piece. And we also have Mantus. It's kind of a high ranking on Bloth's Maelstrom ship also. A very strange looking dude. Again, this was like an alien planet. This wasn't planet Earth, so he's a little alien in appearance. Got his bio on the back. Another henchman for Bloth if you're playing around. Kind of coming out of his packaging already anyway. His figure again, another one that has pretty cool colors, a strange top, but just this crazy looking head, just like it was in the cartoon, the way the shape, but he is colored pretty accurately for the show, even little bits here and there. All these belts and little details and buckles and things, often colored, so a lot of them got a lot of their proper colors, so I gotta appreciate that. He has like a big long sword, kind of curved, like a lot of the weapons on the show, and a very curvy blade with a few edges and ridges, so he can look pretty intimidating there with all his blades. Very cool henchman. Again, another unique look to go with like Konk and then the even larger Bloth, so we have like a lot of size variation with the crew. Would be a lot of fun to play Pirates of Dark Water with all these cool villains. I think they just saw the character designs and were like, man, these are going to make really good action figures. And they were right. Mantus, which is kind of a weird name as well. And this is kind of a weird one. This is Joat. This was apparently the original owner of the Wraith, which was the good guys' boat they used. But I thought he was maybe on the crew with Bloth, but he is not. He's kind of his own dude. He's kind of seeking to get his boat back from the heroes. So I'm not sure why he got included in the set when he's only in like one episode. You can kind of read his quick little bio. It's also one of the later episodes too, the second to last. So they must have had his character drawn up way before, because these are still marked 1990 being made. So pretty interesting. He's also pictured on the video game, or one of the video games of the time, like the overworld map. It would show him with the villains, so they really, not sure how he got mixed into them, but he's actually not part of the Maelstrom crew. He's kind of his own villain, attacking the heroes for his own reason. But we'll check him out here because another one with awesome colors and just such a unique face. He's like one of the kind of alien kind of characters of the show because it was set on an alien planet with all those oceans. So he's pretty cool. Again, the color, we got red do-rag, yellow shirt, we got blues, so we got primary colors making him look really cool. And the really weird alien face, almost making him look like a Star Wars-y alien. And he even has like the claw hand, you know, like a pirate trope there. Although it's just like got a full hand in there so it can hold the accessories still. He's got like a cool axe with some kind of air holes in it. And a gnarly looking sword with almost like a flame with all the grooves in it. Trying to hook the weapons, get them out of the opponent hands. So he, even though he has the hook hand, they still just completed it so he could hold the two weapons anyway. Although he probably just fights with his claw more. But again, a lot of these had like this metallic and stuff for some of the metal, golds, and silvers, and all the other. And he has like an awesome texture of like some hair, and you can see little bumps and moles and boils and stuff on him. Joat. Not part of the typical crew or villains of the show, but does make a good figure the way they did it, so I welcome him happily to the collection. So we have all the villain set opened up here. You can check out the video of the heroes of Pirates of Dark Water action figures. And in general, I just open up a lot of retro stuff and complete collections or show old collections I have. I'm also hoping to get the boat from this toy set, the Wraith ship that this dude used to own. Got stolen by the heroes. Coming into port is a very rare vehicle from the 1991 Pirates of Dark Water action figure toy line. We got the heroes ship, the Wraith, their boat. I'm going to show off everything this vehicle has going on here. Pretty uncommon one to have, so I'm very excited to show it to you. Pretty complicated to put together with all these parts here. Tried to go through, you had to assemble the body and all this stuff. You can see in the instructions here. A lot of this came assembled by the time I got to get a hold of it. Of course, we have in the back just this kind of wind fin, movable back there. Kind of some stair step in the back. There's figure foot knobs all over this boat where you can kind of stand the action figures because they all have holes in the bottom of their feet for the pegs. Some kind of standing platforms here with these little skinny bits that are probably going to break off at some point because people have moved them, the previous owners here. Here's kind of the floaty side bits here. And it is on wheels, so it's not meant to be put in the actual water to play with. It's just for rolling on surfaces that you're going to pretend is the ocean. So I don't know if it's going to float. It's got the old classic steering wheel on here. Unfortunately, these flag things are just kind of stickers, and they're kind of in bad shape, so I might find some way to reprint these in some style. These are kind of messed up and kind of torn and beat up. A lot of this stuff kind of removable. We'll get to that part. We got the kind of crow's nest at the top. Although the mast doesn't seem to stand up as straight as I think it's supposed to or should, where the figure could really stand up there. So if you know more about this, about how to kind of set it up better than I had it, do let me know in the comments. The good old harpoon gun here at the front fires out. It's on a string, which fits the nautical theme of the boat and show. We'll have to kind of disassemble this thing to really show off what it can do. You can take the mast off, and it actually has a little spot that kind of flips, and it has a glider. So you could have the boat stay, and then another character could kind of fly off if they needed, using the mast as a glider, which the mast and the sail is like this plastic clear bit that just has the TV show logo on it. So that's a little fragile, and it just came with this yellow tape. That's how it came with it to attach to the thing, so there isn't really attachers for the sail, it just is taped on. And so with that mast off, then the mast piece actually bends down and is like a catapult. Comes with 3 cannonballs. I actually have all 3, surprisingly. Didn't get lost. And I think the rubber band's kind of worn out. I kind of need to find a better replacement for that, but it can kind of bend down and it would fling the cannonballs out as an extra firing mechanism for play. It's a pretty feature-loaded boat, but naturally I'm just collecting the action figures now that I always wanted after watching the cartoon rerun on the Cartoon Network in the 90s. So it's awesome seeing all the action figures with this ship all displayed. That's how I'll be displaying it on my shelves too. The enemy ship, the Maelstrom, was way too huge in the show, so I don't think there was any hope of getting a giant jumbo playset like that for this. But we got the smaller kind of hero ship. Even this is shrunken down from the size on the show. But that makes for, you know, reasonable display piece that way with all the other figures. So it's going to look awesome with the figures on display. This is what I like to do here, is show off a lot of my old collectibles that I already have, or new ones I'm getting and kind of opening up fresh to show you. How did I acquire the treasures from the Pirates of Dark Water cartoon for my action figures? Through the miracle of 3D printing. I just know a guy that got one and he had nothing better to print, basically. So a little geometrical work, making the 3D rendering of the treasures right from the cartoon using different drawings and screenshots from the show. And kind of measuring the scale of the action figures. We, mostly him, were able to make some scale treasures for the figures. Starting with the compass here, you can see printed just in the gold, but with a little bit of my painting. Kind of get a little bit of the colors from the show. Not too much of the intricate detail that you would see on the actual one when it's kind of zoomed in, but I kind of took the simplified toy approach since these are kind of older 90s action figures anyway. A little heat to give a curve here so it does fit on the figures, so we can have the compass that does lead him to the treasures, otherwise they can't really find them very easily. So one right from the get-go of the show and used in several episodes right there. The compass. Not specifically one of the treasures, but a necessary one to find the other treasures. And so the action figure came with his sword, but it's like a full-length sword, and in the show he had like a cut blade broken off. So one of the little projects was getting his kind of sliced blade, kind of looking a lot more like the show. printed in like a gold material and then a little bit of a silver and red details painted on. And the action figures just have a kind of a whole hand there. It just needed to be small enough to fit down inside, and he can have his actual sword, which actually acts as a key to get into at least one of the places where the treasures were hidden. I always kind of theorized at the end of the show maybe he'd get it restored to the full length, kind of why the toy came with the full blade version. I've always thought that was a cool style that he had this kind of broken sword, kind of had to use that as like a dagger, but that was Ren's main weapon, and I thought it kind of came out pretty cool there. We have the first treasure in the first episode, which is often depicted as some different shapes, so my 3D designer went with the flatter appearance, although in some screenshots it does seem to be kind of a rounder gem, but that's just some inconsistencies with the cartoon. A lot of drawings render it kind of this flat geometric shape, and I just have to kind of color it the shade. I mean, ideally you would get a resin 3D printer and print these with like the clear plastic. We were just kind of going simple here to start out, just as a little project, see if it could be done. But the first one just kind of up on a cliff. Now allegedly these treasures, Ren's father had them and then hid them, so he's having to re-find the treasures that were already kind of found. So that's the first one he has right away, probably gets stolen the most times since he had that from the start. The next treasure they find is from episode 3, a long kind of jewel, the same kind of color as well. But it was the crown from kind of Niddler's people, the monkey birds, took it out, and a piece of the crown was actually the treasure. Ren needs all these treasures to get rid of all the dark water in the world. A simple shaped one, but at least it's pretty unique with the long appearance. The next treasure they find in episode 6 of the show, and it's a little irregular shaped, one that's kind of hard to find good reference material of what shape or jewelry cut it's supposed to be exactly. And in the show they wouldn't really focus on the treasures so much. You'd kind of grab them wherever they were hidden and kind of move on with the challenge that was going on. They typically weren't the focal point that you were seeing all the time, so you just kind of get glimpses of these treasures. This is the one he had to use the sword as the key to get into the place where it was. Also where Tula was kind of discovering her magical abilities. So again, the focus on that kind of stuff. A little difficult to find the shape of this one, but I'm just having to paint it. The general color matches the other treasures. Next one, kind of a unique piece. Again, another one that they don't show very much. The episode they get it, episode 7, just show it for just a second. Given to them by a lady at the very end of the episode. Really a nasty episode. She kind of uses dark water and some magic to make herself beautiful again. Then she turns real nasty from it, because that dark water is just nasty bad stuff. It's like a little cool gold piece, just a little jewel in it. I'm not sure what exactly it was supposed to be, or how big it is. Sometimes it's depicted bigger, sometimes it's like very tiny in the palm of your hand size. So it's a strange one, but one of the treasures for my little lineup for the action figures. In episode 9, we get this treasure. Again, we don't even see them get it. Kind of off screen, Niddler just gets it from where it was. Again, the stories were typically about something else, and getting the treasure was just kind of like, okay, yes, that's why we're here and doing these things. Other things were going on, but it's a cool one, very kind of typical jewel shape as well, and finally a different color than that weird kind of turquoise all the other jewels had been. Throwing in a little different something color there, but I do like it. Finally a lot more unique ones here from episode 10, another one where they just kind of find it up on a mountaintop, but there's a lot of other story going on, but at least it's a kind of a cool unique shape. Another one that it's kind of hard to depict what it's really supposed to be. Sometimes it seems like a cube, other times it seems like this dome, so that's what we went with, was this kind of 3-jeweled dome sort of shape. But again, with the reference we had, there's not a lot of pictures, and they don't show or handle them very much in the cartoon at all. Even though you'd think it's kind of the main quest is finding the treasure. They don't show them a whole lot. At least it's a kind of a unique colored one to make it kind of a more colorful, cool group. And then episode 12, getting one treasure at the bottom of the sea. A little bit different, unique one. We get some good red here to break up the color scheme, a lot of these. Little details on the edge there too. And again, we can't really make them to scale with the figures because then some of them would just be way too small. So we kind of had to enlarge them a little bit, just kind of make them a little cartoonier to match the figures. I think it's cool to have the treasures with the figures. Of course, the show was canceled before they get all 13 treasures. There's the 7 they find. Actually, before the show ended, there was an 8th treasure they do find, but it's not a jewel or gold piece at all. It's like a little creature. So I don't know if we'll really try to do a form of that one to print out to have with them, but it is cool just to have these jewels just kind of represent, since the show just did get canceled before you could see what all the treasures were like. The animation makes the show still worth watching now, even though you don't really get a satisfying ending. They just look really cool, and it's a cool visual and just that old style animation too. Always watch the show, and finally I got the action figures, so wanted to add the treasures to them, and then you can see all the action figures I go over in the next video here. We look at the heroes first, then on to the villains, and even their boat as well from the show. So leave a like if you like seeing these little treasures. If you want your own treasures, just pay me $1 million and I'll get another set printed and painted up for you. But otherwise they're not really available. But thanks for watching.